Bengals fans cannot catch a break when it comes to the offensive line. They thought that they had it. They thought they were ready to go, and now they are angry online because Zach Taylor has shattered their hopes and dreams. Hey everyone, it is Josh here, and I am your host of today's episode of No Buts About It. And we're going to be talking about Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims looked fantastic. It was beautiful. His preseason debut was everything Bengals fans had hoped for. None of the quarterbacks got sacked. No one really even got close to sacking Joe Burrow when Amarius Mims was in. He looked great at that right tackle position for all 16 snaps that he played. And then Zach Taylor shattered that today. Zach Taylor comes out and he says, hey, I have an announcement to make. Amarius Mims is going to miss several weeks. Several was the word he used. Not many, not a couple. He even specified using the Webster's dictionary, saying it is more than two, but less than many. When a reporter asked for an exact number. And I mean, I get why Bengals fans are like, oh, distraught. And I am too. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? Did this really just happen? But luckily, Zach did also say it's non-surgical. And it's several weeks from today. Not several weeks from week 1 of the regular season. It's several weeks from August 12th, 2024. And I'm not going to just immediately chalk this up to the injury-prone concerns from his draft profile, especially because we don't know how he got hurt. We don't know when he got hurt. You can't tell by watching the highlights. He didn't even know he was hurt until after the game, after he had talked to the media. Then he was like, hey, this is kind of bothering me. Got it checked out, and they found out it was a strain. They haven't announced if it was a grade 1 or a grade 2. We're rooting for grade 1 because that usually, I believe, is about a 2 to 4 week injury, which would put him pretty close to that regular season start time anyway when we would need him. But also, I don't think he was going to be the week 1 starter to begin with. Like, yes, he looked fantastic in the preseason, and who knows what would have happened. But Zach Taylor in this same interview pointed out like that we are lucky that this guy is back, Trent Brown, that we are lucky that this guy that we signed in the free season or free agency off season to be a bridge offensive tackle is back. He's off the pup list. He started practicing again today. And we have him until Mims gets back. We have him until Mims is ready. We don't have to rush Mims back. And Trent Brown, albeit injury prone himself, is good when he's on the field. And I think we should hopefully be able to have him last those weeks that Mims will need to set up and get recovered. Now, my concern isn't necessarily with whether Mims can stay healthy, but it's the depth behind Mims. Because if you have Mims and you have Brown and then you have Orlando Brown Jr., okay, there's your 3 tackles. But then what happens if one of those guys gets hurt and then you have to shift guys around? And then after that, there's not much depth. You have Jackson Carman, who looked awful in the preseason game, like terrible. It seemed like the only way he could hold his guy was by actually committing a holding penalty or false starting, or just, it was terrible football from Jackson Carman. I don't know how he is still on the team. Amarius Mims is not my concern right now. I want Amarius Mims to just kind of relax, rehab how we expected him to. He's going to be a freak athlete. He's going to be great for the Bengals. We know that. We've seen it in practice. We don't have to worry about him and his athleticism and talent. We know he is as marketed. What would ruin Amarius Mims is if we force him to come back too early and re-aggravate an injury that didn't need re-aggravating. The Bengals are in a place where they can afford for Mims to miss 2 to 3 weeks of the regular season if they need to. I would love to have him back for week 2, but if he isn't ready, don't force him to play that game. I still would probably go out and sign another offensive tackle, though. There's going to be guys who are getting cut from other teams that will become available. And you don't need some big flashy signing. You just need someone who's a depth piece. And honestly, it doesn't get much worse than Jackson Carman. So as long as you kind of meet that giant gap between Jackson Carman and Trent Brown, you're doing okay. I'm not going to sit, and I said the same thing when Trent Brown got injured and was put on the pup list. I'm not going to sit here and freak out already because Amarius Mims was injured. We'll see what comes. We'll see what happens, but there's still the possibility that Amarius Mims is ready to play week 1. We'll see how he rehabs. We'll see how he does. But I think what's important is for Bengals fans to realize that as much as we want to see Mims play, as exciting as he is to play, it's much more important for his longevity that we allow him to rehab. We don't try to force him back through social media and make him feel like he's a letdown. Let him play the way he needs to play. Let him rehab the way he needs to rehab to get ready to be that franchise offensive tackle we want him to be this season and for a long time with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's my take. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Not a super aggressive video, just kind of putting my thoughts out there. Appreciate it if you subscribed as well, as that helps us out and helps us build this channel into what we want it to be. But until next time, go do something nice for someone. And Amarius Mims, hope you get better soon, bud.